The actors are striking. What's going on here? I thought you said that the writers were striking. So they're both striking at the same time?
Man. And we had Fran Drescher announce this, the nanny.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that.
you know, shit's going bad.
Sorry, what is her role? Yeah.
So we have this, the writers have the Writers Guild of America.
Yes.
So the actors have a guild called the Screen Actors Guild.
Yep.
So they've, obviously they've seen their writers striking and they want to support them, but they also have a lot of concerns of their own.
Yeah.
So a lot of this pertains to the fact that like studios want to use actors' likenesses, with the help of AI in perpetuity. So forever. So an actor would come in. So this is what the studios think would be the future of filmmaking.
Yeah.
An actor comes in and he maybe does like maybe an hour's worth of work of, they shoot you from different angles and stuff like that, get into detail. And then he goes home and then what happens is they cast you in movies and they just say, just use my likeness, my AI likeness. And then literally you don't have to act, you don't have to do anything. You just stay at home. And then like the problem is, right, the studio think, this is awesome. Like, we can increase our, production of movies tenfold. But the actors are like, well, what happens when I die? Like, you're just going to keep make money off my name?
Isn't it a license though? So the estate gets it?
Well, I don't know.
Wait, is this strike specifically pertaining to that? Because
there's also the pay that they get, and not the pay that like the big actors get, but the pay that
it's the little guys, right?
But I think one of the crux of the issue is in regards to royalties for stuff like the streaming stuff, right?
The streaming stuff seems to be a big thing, right?
The major problem, and the writers have the same problem, right? Yeah. Is that the shift to streaming has caused a lot of problems in that they haven't worked out a proper way of paying royalties. And it's just...
Do you know what the current approach is now?
Well, the current approach is that, it's streaming and like these streamers pay $500 million for the rights of something like Friends, right?
Yeah.
And
so a fixed amount, right?
And like back in the old days in syndicated TV, if you'd buy the rights, if like a network bought it, then you could say, okay, we've got ads running on this. Whatever money we make from the ads, we'll pass it on to the actors' royalties, and they get nice $4,000, $5,000 check for something like Friends.
Yep.
And probably per month, and they'll be like, dude, this is awesome.
Yep.
So what's happening now is the streamers have bought all the rights to these, and they're paying the actors something like, instead of $5,000, $6,000, they're paying them like, here you go, here's $200.
Yeah.
And like the actors are like, what is this? And like, this is ridiculous. Why aren't you paying us more? But then streamers are like, we have no ads on this. How are we supposed to? There's no how are we supposed to work out what? Because the ads are also based on like how many people view it, right?
Yeah.
At the time, how many viewers they have of these Friends reruns. Let's just go with that example for the whole, for the rest of
Attacking Nanny Fraser. Yep.
But like how many of like people watched it? So then they work out, okay, this is how much revenue you got from the ads, and then they pay it off. You can't do that with streaming because there is no ads, and then all the data in regards to how many people have watched it is all private. These are all private companies.
Yeah,
they're not revealing the numbers of how many people have watched this and how many people watch that. Which, I mean, this could make it that they have to, right? Because then the actors can go, well, that got 1.5 million views. Why am I not getting paid?
Yeah.
But the thing is, they have to work out, right? Because the something like a Netflix is going, well, we're paying $500 million for this. We're losing.
Yeah.
Like, where are we making money?
Netflix isn't making any money. I didn't even know.
And they're like, but then Netflix makes money from their subscribers and paying per month, right? But then how do you work out that subscriber subscribe to watch Friends? You can't.
It's hard.
You really can't.
You know what?
That's the thing.
It's challenging. It's very challenging. How is this different from music? This is exactly the same thing for music,
It's the same thing that's happened to the music industry, right? The music industry, and we saw Snoop Dogg. I saw Snoop Dogg talk about this as well. He was like, look, Spotify is killing the music industry.
Yeah.
It's artists are making nothing from it. And like he's saying back in the day, we sell an album for $10. We get a good amount back.
Yeah.
Like, someone streams our song, we get 0.000129 cents.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, how can it be that like, I get like 1 billion streams, but then I only make like a couple of thousand on it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense. Where's the money going for that?
Yep.
So that's where, like, streaming, although it's great for the consumer, I mean, we're loving it. So unlimited songs, unlimited TV shows, nice. But what's actually happening? The money's not going to the artists. They're not going to the actors. They're not going to the directors. And that's the problem, right? Like, and these, like, the climate that we're in right now, studios are trying to save as much money as they can, right? Yeah. You see Disney now talking like the way they're talking. They're like, mate, like, we're going to cut back our Marvel stuff. We're going to cut back all our Star Wars stuff. We don't have the money to make all this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And they're having losses, but on losses, So, I mean, at the end of the day, the solution is going to be something crazy, because how you work that out is going to basically be the standard going forward, because I don't see streaming going away.
It's not. It's a very tough one, because if you think about, like, let's just use Netflix, for example. How much is a Netflix license? I mean, like, monthly in Australia, $20?
So, yeah, $15-20, yeah.
$15-20, right? If you think of that, how many movies you have on it's a good deal, right?
Yeah.
You're theoretically thinking about it, like all that you get there. So arguably, from that economic perspective, it's cheap. It's really cheap.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't feel like that, right?
Yeah.
How are studios, or is Netflix, when they actually are legitimately making accounting losses on $500,000 is a big investment there, to do it when the consumer doesn't value, or they're not willing to pay that difference there because they're cheap. Everyone, especially in the current sort of climate, right? So when we take it back to the music industry, it's really hard, because you've got to think now, in this time, Spotify allows you. How many artists have you discovered in Spotify that you never? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Spotify, it's easy for me to say because I'm not in the industry. The easier thing for music is the artist is the artist, meaning that in let's say a movie, there is the lead actors and there's everyone from extra to down, right? So that attribution is infinitely difficult, because I think I said that, like, in a movie, not half the reason, but there's such an imbalance between what the stars get versus everyone gets. Why don't you just reshuffle that deck, right? But if you're a Robert Downey Jr., if you're a Margot Robbie, you can say, hold up, mate. The only reason that people are coming is me. So I'm not saying it's easy, but, like, you can see arguments on both sides, right? It's not as simple as
that's why, like,
pay less or redistribute that income accordingly, right?
People like Tom Cruise, people like Robert Downey, they're smart. In their deals for these movies, they're like, well, okay, then I won't take 100 mil or 50 mil. I'll take maybe 30 mil, but I want a 15% cut of the box office. Yeah, because they know it's gonna be a big something like an event. They're
betting on that. Well, that is what the UFC pay-per-view model is.
Yeah,
and that's why when you get fighters cut in there, they do all that promotion because they're financially incentivized, right? I'm not saying that I know the answer, but I can appreciate how challenging it is. It's
challenging for a studio in that, because they have to now figure out how to cut actors in.
Yeah,
right, and they're talking about Netflix doing losses, man. They're losing a lot.
Yeah.
Right. On the stock market, they lost heaps.
Yeah.
Last year. But it might even be a rethink of the model itself, right? Because when you got Netflix, you're just bombarded with, like, TV shows, movies everywhere.
There's too much, right?
There's a lot.
There's a lot of rubbish too,
and they invest a lot on Netflix because they want to have their original content.
So does Prime. Like all of the major Paramount, they all do. They have to, right?
It might even be that, look, instead of us investing, over $100 billion, maybe we need to leave a little bit left for the actors. Like, because that's the only way I can see it working, right? Because you have to give them a cut of that pie, because at the end of the day, your profits that you get, you have to have some of that go to the actors, because how else are they going to get this?
It is by virtue of their pay, though. It's just that what that valuation of that pay is.
Maybe the pay needs to be rethought, right?
Well,
here's your pay, and these are your. But then, it is hard,
it's
right?
not the reason, dude. If it was that easy,
it's based on views.
Performance, yeah.
Performance.
So for example, let's give an example.
Because royalties are all based on that.
What's a
right?
big movie, hyped up movie that flopped in the box office? Can you name one? I just can't think of
The
any.
Flash?
The Flash, right? Okay, hold up. So their fixed cost must have been astronomical, right? So
Yes,
if you
yes,
made that an incentive, let's say incentives, you only get in the same way that a salesperson, maybe 70% of their income is commission, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna die by that sword,
Yeah.
right? So if your movie bombs, and you don't have a fixed income, that's why people don't like commission versus. I'm just saying, like they like the security of it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be on the other side, whereas you can't expect to get the upside and not participate in the downside, which is why it's generally a challenging thing. There's no easy way, and when you account for extras and stuff like that. One way is they're not getting paid enough. The other way is generally like, if I never knew that, like, how much does that, like, it's not a nice conversation to have, but it is. I'm not saying that they don't, but if you would say the solution is, hey, Robert Downey Jr., take significantly less, will they take? They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it. So
well, that's the thing, right?
So it's
like,
hard, right?
The cost of production is so high on these things.
It is, right?
But it is probably ballooned by the fact that the big actors are
taking
charging
a massive premium.
Yeah.
So tell me this, right? Because we're into our cameras and stuff like that, and I was looking at one of these FX30s, right?
Yeah.
These APS-Cs. I don't know what movie, that entire movie was shot on that camera, right? Yeah. So you tell me, when the rate progression of technology, now a consumer can have a cinema grade camera that you can put on Netflix. So you mean to tell me that in an economic market where the technology innovation is increasing, the barriers of cost are arguably decreasing, that the price, the wages have to be that up? I'm telling you, there is somewhere where that is missing.
Well, what's happening, I believe, is that technology that, sort of that's gone to the point where it's becoming a bit more easier to use, like a FX30 to film a movie.
Yeah.
But what the way they see it, the studios, is that, okay, let's make more of this then. If it's that easy, let's make more.
Yeah.
That's where I think they're going to have to cut back.
I guess
because they're going to cut back on some sort of spending, right? To get the money to pay the actors, they're going to have to cut back on spending. And they spend a lot. You got to Netflix, there's too many bloody shows.
Yeah.
And I understand why Netflix did that, and why streamers are just going for original content, because you can't rely on these legacy shows like Friends
to pull
staying
through
on your platform. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, people bid so high, like $1 billion for Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Seinfeld is a nearly 30-year-old show, like, but it's such a great show. It's demanding that
and it
much,
should
right?
be compensated accordingly. I guess that's my point. But it's not easy. So like when I hear about it, I understand, I empathize.
That's why I hear, like, from what I hear, they're gonna work out the actors one, but the writers one, they're
hard.
so far apart.
Yeah.
It's not even like they're not even on the set. Like, they're not even considering working that out.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, mate, because writers are literally at the end of, like, nearly the end
the
of
totem pole
equation, when they create a lot of these stories, right?
Yeah.
And they're at the end of the totem pole, and it's just, it's sad.
Yeah. It is. There's a bit of an integration to the next topic, but